promise you something really scary.
Attention. Do I have everybody's attention now?
What's up, everybody? It's overtime, and I am your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm going solo on that ass, but it's still the same. We're talking pro wrestling. So here's what happened. So there I was. No, so we had a very cool guest on tonight on the Mike and JD show. We had Jamie Scott Greer, and I always have been fascinated by wrestling history, and I've always wanted to talk to a guy that's done like a wrestling history book, and it's something that I'm going to do more of. I think I want to probably bring some more of that to the Patreon, try to make that kind of a Patreon deal. But I had the opportunity to interview this guy, and I just want to give him the biggest platform possible to be able to promote his book. He worked really hard on it. The guy, it's like 600 pages, this book, and he actually bought a copy and he sent it to me for letting him come and plug the book. And I was like, dude, I was like, you're doing me a favor, but okay. Cause I was excited to have him as he was to be on. So that was a cool thing. But JD and I like as per usual, we rambled on some of the other topics. And by the time it was time to bring him on, we had rambled so much that we didn't get to our AEW All In preview. And that's one of the bigger shows of the year. So it makes sense that we would actually talk about it. And JD and I both have a lot of thoughts on it, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to do it by myself because it's 7 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, and I think it's midnight where he's at. And he's going to get up and go to school in the morning, and it's only 7 o'clock where I'm at. And my wife and daughter are not home, and they're not going to be home for another hour. So I'm like, well, fuck, what am I going to do? So I was like, I texted JD. I told JD, I was like, dude, we forgot, or I didn't forget. I think he forgot, but I didn't forget. But I saw the time and I was like, we're not going to be able to get the AEW, the All In preview in. Like, it's just not going to happen. And so we had to just like pivot, and we did the interview, and I wanted to get to it, but JD is like, it's too fucking late. Like, he's got to go to bed. Brother's got to get up and work in the morning. So I was like, okay. And by the time we got to do it, maybe we might not be able to record again until Sunday. And if we do, then it's like All In's already happened. And I don't know that both of us are going to get to watch All In at the same time on Sunday, because Sunday for like me, it's going to come on here at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's in the middle of the day. That's family time, dude. And so I typically watch the pay-per-views like well after the fact, unless it's an Impact one, unless it's a TNA one, because I go live afterwards. But I only do that once a quarter. So I just can't do that to the family. So I will typically, I'll put them on. Like, they come on at like 1 o'clock Hawaii time. I'll probably watch it like 6 hours later, or 7 hours, like 8 p.m. is usually, maybe it's like 7 or 8 p.m. is when, and then I'll stay up to like midnight watching it. But I always try to make sure I get it in. So, but yeah, I really did want to get a chance to preview it for you guys. So what I did do is, since this was supposed to be part of the main show, I've made it overtime and putting it on the Patreon. But I'm putting it on the free tier of the Patreon because I've been meaning to put more free tier content on the Patreon. Then, of course, at some point, I'm going to unlock this, and then everybody on YouTube will get a chance to check it out too, because I do want to make sure that the preview gets over to them. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be a pretty badass show. And look, here's the thing: you can complain about the lead up, you can complain about maybe you don't like the feuds, maybe you're not really into the storylines. But rarely, if ever, do you leave an AEW show being like, well, that sucked, or that was not cool. I think I could probably count on one hand in their 5-year history where I was not a fan of their pay-per-view, where I was like, I wish I didn't watch that. It doesn't happen very often. And then this one, it looks like it's going to be pretty fucking badass. So let's go ahead and go at the bottom. We'll go bottom to top. So 0 hour. So 0 hour is going to be 2 hours. I'm just letting you guys know right now. 0 hour has a 0% chance of catching my eye. I will not be watching this thing. I hope you guys do. That can't get enough pro wrestling. It's just fucking too much for me, dude. There is a limitation to my fandom. so 0 hour winning team chooses stipulation for All Out. We got Willow Nightingale and Tomohiro Ishii versus Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway. I don't know what's going on. I get the feeling they're going to kick out of some stuff. But I'm pretty sure Willow Nightingale and Ishii are going to win that one. But there's not really much going on there. Casino Gauntlet match. Orange Cassidy, Hangman Page, Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and more. I get the feeling this is where we see Ricochet. If I were a betting man, I would bet that Ricochet is in it. Now, if Ricochet is in it, doesn't he have to win it? Don't you think, like, if you're going to build the guy up and you want to heat him up, shouldn't he just win? Shouldn't he just win the whole damn thing? I think so. But if he doesn't, let's see who else is in this damn thing. Like I said, you got Kyle O'Reilly's not going to win this thing. Mark Briscoe's not winning. Orange Cassidy's not winning. Hangman Page could be a guy that wins it, and then maybe Hangman Page wins it, and then that's what leads us to Swerve Strickland at All Out. And it's already been reported that that's the match for All Out is Hangman versus Swerve, and that makes sense to me because they're going to need a hook for that show because it's so close to All In. I think the timing of these shows is not good. They really need to split them up. They should probably move All Out to like September, but they're doing fucking pay-per-views every month now, just like everybody else. So, we got the Patriarchy versus the Gangbang Gang versus House of Black versus TBD for the AEW World Trios Championships. I think that's a ladder match. It doesn't say it here on the Sports Illustrated thing, but I do think that it's a ladder match. I could have swore there was a ladder match in here somewhere, and I think this is it. Yeah. So I get the feeling that the TBD is going to be, I think the TBD is probably going to be the Von Erichs and Dustin Rhodes, the Ring of Honor Trios champion. I think that's what it's probably going to be, but we'll see. You know what? Like, I don't really care, to be honest, I don't really care about this match. And if it is a ladder match and it's just a bunch of people jumping off of shit, like we see that every freaking pay-per-view. I want to say that like 75% of all AEW pay-per-views have a ladder match. I'm off the top of my head. Clearly, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's a lot. It's like, can we just go to one a year for each company? Like, you just get one, and that's WWE. The only one that you get is Money in the Bank. That's it. And I'll give you, you can have one for NXT, WWE. So you get the Money in the Bank, which typically features two. And then I'll let you have one for NXT because you guys kind of treat that as a separate deal. But that's it. That's all you get. AEW, you get one per pay-per-view. That's it. Not one per pay-per-view, like one per year on one pay-per-view. Never on a TV show. Just one. TNA, same thing. New Japan doesn't really do them that often, which is why when they do them, like nobody really cares. But I think that they're probably a little bit more special there. Then we got Chris Jericho versus Hook. I honestly, I have been watching Dynamite pretty steady. I think I've missed one episode in the last couple months. And I think it was like 2 weeks ago. But even then, I didn't miss the whole thing. Like, I watched some of it, but I just never really got around to finishing it. There's nothing in this world that I'm interested in less than Chris Jericho versus Hook. And there's no title that means less in the history of pro wrestling. It's like FTW Championship, and it's the one from TNA with the digital media. It's like the same thing. Like, neither one of them have any meaning. It's like, might as well be the fucking Western States Heritage Championship. It just shouldn't exist. Like, why are you a thing? I don't know. But and Chris Jericho has not looked good in a lot of his matches. To be honest, I haven't really been all that impressed with Hook lately either. But if Hook loses, he cannot challenge Chris Jericho again for the title. I think Hook should win, and then he should throw that fucking belt in the trash, or just give it back to his dad. You're like, Dad, put this up on the mantle in Brooklyn or wherever the fuck you're from. Long Island, probably. I'm so done with this Jericho Hook feud. It is it's beneath Samoa Joe and Shibata for sure. Like I don't like Samoa Joe and Shibata got sucked into this thing. And Chris Jericho, everybody's like, well, Chris Jericho's getting his high guys, he's getting that over. People like to mimic wrestlers. Wrestling fans love counting. They love that's what the yes thing got so over. It's because you're pointing. They like to be able to do easy mimicable stuff. That doesn't mean that he's over. It doesn't mean people want to actually see it. But like when he's there, they're gonna mimic it because wrestlers are overgrown. Wrestling fans are typically like if they're not children, they're overgrown fucking children. This is just who we are. We like to mimic shit. I can honestly tell you though that I've never counted to 10 along with a wrestler doing fake punches in the corner. It's just never happened. Just never done it. But I know a lot of people that do it, and I'm not judging you, but I think you're probably a child. Even if you're 40, you're still like a big kid. Jack Perry will be taking on Darby Allin and be defending his AEW TNT Championship. This match should be really good. Like, say, you know what? What am I saying? Say what you want. But yeah, definitely say what you want about these two guys. I think when the bright lights are on and it's time to go, they typically deliver. Darby's probably going to hurt himself because that's what Darby does. That's how Darby gets himself over because he's such a kind of a smaller dude, is he has to get up on something really high and fucking kill himself. And I'm all for it. Like, do it. Like, hurt yourself. Like, I want to watch that. So, and Jack Perry definitely has a point to prove. He's got, there for a while, people thought that Jack might get to become kind of in that upper echelon of talent, and then the whole thing with Punk happened, and now he's kind of back down towards the middle to the lower half of the card, and I honestly think that that's like a good spot for him. I have not seen anything in his heel run that tells me like, yeah, that guy is like a future world champion. And that's okay. Like, you need guys like Jack Perry too. Whereas Darby Allin, like if they put the belt on him eventually, I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. You probably want to put it on him now while he can still walk, right? You want to do the token championship for him, but I just don't see Jack Perry ever doing that. But Darby Allin is quite popular. He's a merch mover. Like crowd really gets behind that guy. Now, as far as who wins, I think it'd be too early to take the belt off Perry. They've been kind of hot potatoing the title, and I think he should probably hold on to it. And then when Copeland comes back, that they could feud over the title. I think that would be cool. Since he never really lost the title, like he had to relinquish the belt because he fucking broke his leg jumping off a cage like a dum-dum. But yeah, I think that Jack Perry should hold it, and then whenever Copeland's ready to feud, then they feud over the belt. Well, a swig of water for Copeland. Next, we go to the Young Bucks versus FTR versus the Acclaimed. I just feel like the Acclaimed is taking up space in this match. Nothing against those guys, but I just like if we're just gonna do Young Bucks and FTR, I'd rather just be Young Bucks and FTR. I'd be down with just. I know we've seen it several times before. I would just be cool with just watching those guys fucking go at it. Like it would be. I think it'd be awesome if they did an angle before the match where the Acclaim got taken out, so we could just watch probably the two greatest tag teams of the last 10, 15 years. Just go out there and do another classic. I'm not saying this match won't be good. I think that it will. I just feel like the Acclaim they're taking up a roster spot here. They're just added to the match, and I just don't like. I know there's a story, but I don't know. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't see the Young Bucks losing these belts. No, the Young Bucks current heel run was doing good at first, but is not resonating with the fans right now. It's certainly not resonating with me. I legit just don't care about them right now. Nothing that they're doing right now is interesting to me. And to get me interested, they decided to throw FTR back in the mix here. I'm like, okay, well, I love their matches. So, but as far as an act, I just don't care. That the Young Bucks, other than being great in the ring, and they are, and I think they're great heels, but their act right now to me is stale. The heel authority figure, I just don't care. So I do think that they retain the titles, but I wouldn't shock me if like FTR got it, or it wouldn't even shock me if the Acclaimed got him. Just try to heat up the Acclaimed. But right now, the tag division is as weak as it's been ever in the history of this company. They just lost the Lucha Brothers. They could have had Motor City Machine Guns, but they lowballed them, right? And now they're going over to WWE. So, I mean, it's this division is reeling right now, and they could use a shot in the arm. I don't know that this match gives it the shot in the arm. Even if the match is great, I don't think that it actually elevates the division. Because all three of these teams have been champions before. And I think the Acclaimed was a flash in the pan act. I don't think that was just sustainable, and AEW realized it. They're trying to heat them back up, so maybe they do that. Maybe they just put the belts back on them to heat them back up, but I don't know. I just don't see it. Now, a match that does have a ton of heat and a ton of interest, at least it did for a while. I do think that the feud cooled off a little bit. I think they peaked probably at the wrong time. Is Toni Storm versus Mariah May for the AEW Women's Championship. I don't see any scenario where Mariah May doesn't win. I don't think there's any reason to keep the belt on Toni Storm. In fact, I would like to see Mariah May win. I'd like to see Toni Storm go away for a little bit. I'm not saying she needs to come back with a different character, but maybe a slight alteration to the character, and come back and then keep the feud going with Mariah. But I think that it's Mariah's time now to shine. I think they've done a good job of building her, although I do feel like the last couple of episodes I've seen, like she has not been like that crazy over with the audience the last couple times I've seen her. Except, you know what? I did watch her in Wales last night on Dynamite, and obviously for reasons you guys know, she was pretty over there. But I don't know. I just don't. I don't know, man. It's cooled off a little bit, but I think that Mariah May has to win. I think she's the future of the division. I think it's time to elevate a new star, and she is that star. It's 100% her. So they need to just go with it. And then the next match, I'm probably going to be an all-time classic, is MJF defending the newly minted American Championship, which was the International Championship, against Will Ospreay. And this is another match where I think that we see a title change. In fact, I don't see any scenario where we don't see one. It wouldn't make any sense to me to have Ospreay lose in Wembley. It doesn't, unless like MJF decides to pull kind of the Hulk Hogan card, right? It wouldn't make any sense for Ospreay to lose here. They need him to be their next big star, the next tippy top guy for the promotion. So I think we see another title change here, which is another reason why I don't think Jack Perry is losing. Nobody cares about the Jericho title, so they could flip-flop. I don't see the Patriarchy losing in the trios match. So I think we get the first title change with Toni Storm. I think she's got to drop it to Mariah May. MJF definitely has to drop the international title back to Will Ospreay. And then, of course, I think it's probably going to be, easy 5 boy. They're going to kick out a lot of shit. They're going to do a lot of moves. Hopefully Will just hits him with the fucking Tiger Driver and they end that stupid storyline. Such a dumb story. And I got a comment on their interview segment from last night. It started off so stupid, where Will Ospreay said, "I was brought in, bruv, to clean up your mess." And then MJF said, "No, I was brought back to clean up your mess." So you have 2 of your top talents acknowledging that the company's a bit of a mess right now. We're about to have this big television deal. There's a lot to celebrate in this company, but you got 2 of the top stars acknowledging some of your faults. And I don't think that's a smart idea. I think you have to highlight the positives and fucking not talk about the weaknesses. 1,100 tickets in Champaign, Illinois, right? You can't talk about stuff. You can't talk about going from 20,000 down to 3,000 in Arthur Ashe Stadium. That's not smart. I know they didn't say that, but that's what they're talking about. That's what they're acknowledging in public. I don't think that's a smart thing. Now they ended the promo, and it was a very good promo by the end of it. And personal issues draw money. Heat and hate is what's important in pro wrestling, and that's what gets me interested. And then, man, that fucking line that MJF hit when he said that We said, I talked to your wife last night, and her next son is not going to be yours either. I thought that was a pretty fucking good line. So smarmy, so slimy, such a dick thing to say. I also like the fact that the reason why MJF turned, he acknowledged, is because everybody loved him until Will showed up. That's perfect. That's good storytelling. That's like storytelling 101. Just don't do the inside baseball stuff. This is, nobody cares. It doesn't do anything to sell tickets or pay-per-views. It just doesn't. It's a trope that's been done since the late 90s, and it's just not good. Next match, we got Mercedes Moné defending the TBS championship against Britt Baker. Yeah, you don't take the title off Moné just yet. Not unless the plan is to do Moné for the world championship, but I think Mariah may win, so there's no reason for Moné to lose her title. Now we are going to be in a situation where we have two heel champions, but at some point, like, that could change. But yeah, no, Moné has to keep the belt. You know, Britt Baker, I don't really see this match being all that good. I think they're going to get a lot of time, and I think it'll be meticulously mapped out, and they're going to have several near falls. And eventually they're going to have so many that the crowd's going to get into it. It's like, oh my God, don't back on hero. Get kicked out. What is it going to take for her to get the pain? Like fucking Excalibur with his mask is going to go crazy, right? It's like, oh, 2.9.5. Hey, we get it, guys. You can kick out. So I think they'll get to that point where they do a lot of kickouts, and the crowd will get into it. But so I don't think it's going to be a great match, but I don't think it's going to be a bad match either, because I think they're going to try to do enough in it to get everybody interested, and they do enough tropey shit to get everybody involved. So to get the crowd on their feet, that's what it's all about. So, but Mercedes Moné wins that one. And then we go to the main event, man. Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW championship. It's title versus career. Yeah, Danielson's not losing. I think once they put the career stipulation on, they kind of foreshadowed that he was going to win. And I think he wins here, and then he drops it back at the Tacoma Dome. Tacoma Dome, I thought, was going to be like a big show, but it's like 7,000. So that's what they're setting it up for. They're not setting it up for like a big deal. But I think, again, the match is going to rule clearly, considering who's in it. Two of like Bryan Danielson, one of the greatest of all time, and then one of the great up-and-coming young stars in Swerve Strickland. I think they're going to have a lot of time. They'll probably get like 25, 30 minutes. And they're going to have a kick-ass match. There'll probably be some blood, I'm sure, considering who's involved. And the whole thing is going to be awesome. And I think we're going to get the big yes, yes, yes there to close out the show. Bryan Danielson pointing to the sky. Bryan Danielson, who wants to retire, doesn't want to be world champion, doesn't want to be wrestling anymore, wants to just go home and retire. He's going to win the world championship and be happy about it. And then I do think in the Tacoma Dome, in his hometown, I think he drops it to Swerve, does the honors there, and then probably takes time off. I don't think he ever goes away completely, but I think he takes time off there. But it should be great. I think it should be noted that Moxley is not booked for the show. It doesn't look like he's going to be there. And Okada, unless he's going to be in that Casino Gauntlet match, he might not be on the show either. Unless I have not read anywhere that he's booked for the show. That's weird to me. He did just like wrestle in Wales, so I think he's there. So I wonder if they're going to have him on the show. I don't know. Let me type in the AEW All In match card again. So Sports Illustrated. So that was, you know what? I think that Sports Illustrated has an updated one. Steve Munchausen, whatever the fuck. Let's see. How to watch. Where's it at? Okay. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Or is there another match announced that I was just not tracking? Casino Gauntlet, no. Willow Nightingale, no. Yeah, no. So there aren't any other matches that I'm aware of that is going to feature Okada on it. So it looks like Okada's not booked on the show, unless he gets into the Casino Gauntlet, and that's weird. I don't know. It's like we spent all that money on that guy, and he's not even on the biggest show of the year. It's crazy to me. But look, they got a loaded roster, man. Which is why I'm like, I don't give a fuck if Bobby Lashley goes there. It's like, not only we have already a loaded roster, we can't even book Okada on the biggest show of the year. Moxley's not being booked. Adam Cole is not here yet. He's still injured. And then we got Kenny Omega coming back. Like, why do they need Bobby Lashley? I don't think he makes any difference for this company whatsoever. But I digress. But yeah, thank you, Patreon community. Even you free tier members, I hope you guys enjoyed this exclusive preview of All In. I will release this probably sometime like Friday night to the YouTube audience, but you here on Patreon are getting it first. You're getting it early before everybody else, so I greatly appreciate you being here. That's going to do it for me this time on Overtime. If something breaks this weekend and I get an opportunity, I'll just jump on my computer or just do something from my cell phone and just try to get it done. But I will be back on Saturday morning to do my Brace for Impact show. So catch me this weekend on Brace for Impact. And until next time, mahalo.
I want to see something really scary.
Do I have everybody's attention now?